Loyalty. It's the foundation of any lasting relationship. But what happens when it cracks? While infidelity isn't confined to any one gender, the question that sparks countless debates is, why do some women choose to stray? Is it love, biology, or something deeper? Let's uncover the layers behind this controversial topic. Infidelity is one of the most emotionally charged topics in relationships. But to truly understand it, we must first challenge the assumption behind the question itself. Why can't women stay loyal in a relationship? Implicit in this question is the idea that women are inherently less loyal than men, a notion rooted more in stereotypes than reality. Research shows that infidelity is not confined to a specific gender. Men and women may cheat at similar rates, but the motivations behind those choices often differ, and they're far more nuanced than a simple lack of loyalty. Consider this. Loyalty is not just about resisting temptation. It's about feeling seen, valued, and emotionally fulfilled in a partnership. For women, studies suggest that emotional dissatisfaction is a more common trigger for infidelity than purely physical attraction. This stands in contrast to the reasons men often cite, which are more likely to be tied to opportunity or physical gratification. Yet, these are generalizations, and they don't apply to everyone. By framing the question this way, we risk oversimplifying a complex issue. Instead of asking, why can't women stay loyal? Perhaps the better question is, what causes breakdowns in loyalty and connection in relationships? This reframing allows us to explore the topic with empathy and fairness, avoiding blame while seeking understanding. Loyalty isn't just a test of character. It's deeply tied to dynamics between two people, the challenges they face, and the society that shapes their expectations. Imagine this. Emily had been in a committed relationship for 7 years. On the outside, everything seemed picture perfect. A supportive partner, a comfortable home, and a life others might envy. But inside, Emily felt invisible. Over time, her partner grew distant, consumed by work and personal hobbies, and their conversations became transactional, devoid of the intimacy they once shared. She didn't feel heard, valued, or desired. Then she met someone at work, a colleague who made her laugh, noticed her efforts, and listened intently when she spoke. It wasn't an instant betrayal, nor was it premeditated. It began with harmless conversations and grew into something Emily herself didn't recognize at first. The connection filled a void she didn't realize had grown so vast. Eventually, one evening, what started as emotional closeness crossed the line into physical intimacy. This isn't a justification for Emily's choices, but it's a window into her experience. Stories like Emily's highlight that infidelity often doesn't stem from malice or a lack of morals. Instead, it can emerge from unmet emotional needs, feelings of loneliness, or a longing to feel valued again. By sharing personal narratives like Emily's, we step away from viewing infidelity as a black and white issue. It's not simply about being loyal or disloyal. It's about the complexities of human emotions, relationships, and the desire to feel connected. These stories compel us to ask deeper questions. What creates the emotional distance in relationships? What role does communication, or the lack thereof, play? And how can we foster connections that withstand the challenges of time and change? By humanizing the narrative, we invite empathy, understanding, and a deeper examination of what drives people to make choices that, on the surface, seem unfathomable. To understand why someone might stray from a relationship, we need to dig into the psychological and biological forces that drive human behavior. For women, studies have shown that infidelity is often linked to emotional dissatisfaction rather than purely physical attraction. This suggests that unmet emotional needs, such as feeling unloved, unappreciated, or emotionally disconnected, can create a fertile ground for infidelity to take root. From a psychological standpoint, the concept of emotional neglect plays a significant role. Relationships thrive on communication, affection, and mutual validation. When these elements are missing, the brain starts seeking those rewards elsewhere, even unconsciously. Women in particular may be more likely to seek emotional intimacy outside the relationship when they feel their partner is no longer meeting those needs. It's not about wanting more, but rather about feeling seen, understood, and valued. Biologically, some theories suggest that evolutionary factors may also come into play. Historically, women's survival and the success of their offspring depended on forming deep, reliable bonds with partners. But when those bonds appear unstable or inadequate, the subconscious drive to seek a more fulfilling connection could be activated. While this theory has its critics, it highlights the complex interplay between biology and human behavior. On the flip side, modern influences also shape infidelity. Social media, for instance, has amplified the ease of connecting with others, often blurring the lines between platonic relationships and something more. A seemingly innocent online conversation can quickly evolve into an emotional affair, especially when someone is already feeling disconnected from their partner. It's important to note that infidelity is rarely a spur-of-the-moment decision. More often, it's the result of cumulative frustrations, unmet needs, or an inability to communicate those issues effectively within the relationship. Understanding these underlying causes doesn't excuse the behavior, but it does shed light on the factors that drive it. This scientific and psychological lens reminds us that infidelity isn't about a lack of character or morals. It's deeply tied to emotional and biological needs. Addressing these needs proactively within a relationship through open communication and emotional intimacy can be the key to preventing them from manifesting elsewhere. To truly understand infidelity, it's crucial to move beyond framing it as a woman's issue or even a gendered problem at all. Infidelity occurs across genders, and while the reasons may differ, the emotional pain and relationship fallout are universal. By flipping the perspective, we gain a more balanced view of why loyalty can falter, regardless of who is involved. Men, for instance, are often stereotyped as being driven by physical desires or impulsive decisions when it comes to cheating. However, research suggests that many men also cheat for emotional reasons, seeking validation, appreciation, or an escape from feelings of inadequacy in their current relationships. Just as women may feel unseen or undervalued, men can struggle with the pressure to meet societal expectations of being providers, protectors, or emotionally stoic. When these pressures go unacknowledged, they too might seek solace outside the relationship. Consider the parallels. A man who feels taken for granted at home may find himself drawn to someone who offers admiration and attention, just as a woman might. Both scenarios highlight the same underlying issue: a lack of emotional connection and fulfillment. This symmetry demonstrates that infidelity isn't about inherent flaws in women or men, but about unmet human needs and struggles within relationships. Society, however, often portrays women's infidelity as more calculated or emotionally driven, while men's is viewed as impulsive or opportunistic. These stereotypes can blind us to the true complexity of the issue and prevent couples from addressing the real problems at the heart of their relationships. It also creates a damaging double standard, where men's infidelity is more likely to be brushed off as boys will be boys, while women's is seen as a betrayal of deeper moral failings. Flipping the perspective also allows us to challenge the societal factors that contribute to infidelity. Both men and women are influenced by evolving gender roles, cultural norms, and pressures from modern life. As these dynamics shift, so do the reasons people might stray and the way infidelity is perceived. By recognizing that infidelity is a shared human challenge, not a gendered flaw, we open the door to meaningful conversations. How can couples communicate better? How can both partners feel valued and fulfilled? How can they address issues early before they escalate into something irreparable? This shift in perspective not only fosters empathy, but also paves the way for solutions that work for everyone involved. Infidelity doesn't occur in a vacuum. It's deeply influenced by the cultural and societal environment in which relationships exist. The way society views and portrays loyalty, commitment, and infidelity plays a significant role in shaping behavior and perceptions, often creating dynamics that make it harder to sustain loyalty in the modern world. Consider the media we consume daily. Movies, TV shows, and even music frequently romanticize infidelity. Stories of forbidden love or secret affairs are portrayed as thrilling and passionate, often glossing over the emotional wreckage they leave behind. These narratives subtly normalize cheating and can lead people to view it as an inevitable part of relationships rather than a betrayal to be avoided. Social media has added another layer to this dynamic, making connections outside a relationship easier than ever. Platforms like Instagram and Facebook blur the boundaries between casual interactions and emotional intimacy. A seemingly innocent like or message can quickly spiral into something more. The constant exposure to curated versions of others' lives also fuels dissatisfaction within relationships, as people compare their partners to an idealized version of someone else. Evolving gender roles also play a critical role, as women have gained more independence, financially, professionally, and socially. The dynamics of relationships have shifted. While this progress is positive, it has also challenged traditional expectations of loyalty. For centuries, women were expected to remain faithful regardless of their happiness, often because they lacked the financial or social means to leave a relationship. Today, women have more agency, and with that comes the freedom to reevaluate and challenge relationships that don't meet their emotional or physical needs. Cultural attitudes about loyalty differ across societies. In some cultures, infidelity is stigmatized heavily, while in others, it's viewed with more leniency, particularly for men. This disparity creates a double standard where men's infidelity might be tolerated or even expected, while women face harsher judgment for the same behavior. Such norms reinforce harmful stereotypes and prevent meaningful conversations about the root causes of infidelity. Finally, the pressure to have a perfect relationship also contributes. Modern relationships are often idealized, with couples expected to be each other's best friends, passionate lovers, and unwavering supporters. When reality doesn't align with these expectations, dissatisfaction can creep in, making people more susceptible to seeking fulfillment elsewhere. By understanding the cultural and social forces at play, we can see that infidelity isn't just a personal failing. It's influenced by a complex web of societal pressures and narratives. Addressing these influences, both individually and collectively, is essential for creating a culture that prioritizes healthy, fulfilling relationships. This means challenging harmful media portrayals, setting realistic expectations, and fostering open communication in relationships. When discussing infidelity, it's tempting to focus solely on blame and consequences, but a more meaningful approach lies in reflection and resolution. The question isn't just why someone strayed, but how relationships can be strengthened to prevent disconnection in the first place. Infidelity isn't an isolated event. It's often the culmination of unresolved issues, unmet needs, and missed opportunities for communication. For couples navigating the aftermath of infidelity, healing begins with honesty. Both partners must confront uncomfortable truths about their feelings, their actions, and the state of their relationship. Transparency is vital, not only about the betrayal itself, but also about the underlying issues that led to it. This isn't about assigning fault, but about understanding what went wrong and whether it can be repaired. Communication becomes the cornerstone of rebuilding trust. Often, infidelity arises because one or both partners felt unheard or unseen. By fostering open, judgment-free conversations, couples can begin to address lingering frustrations, unmet expectations, and areas where the relationship fell short. This process isn't easy, but it's necessary to move forward, whether that means repairing the relationship or parting ways with clarity and closure. It's also important to acknowledge that infidelity doesn't always spell the end of a relationship. While some couples choose to separate, others use the experience as a wake-up call to rebuild a stronger, more resilient bond. Rebuilding trust takes time, effort, and often professional guidance from counselors or therapists. It requires both partners to commit to understanding one another on a deeper level and to actively work toward creating a relationship where both feel valued and fulfilled. For those seeking to prevent infidelity, the key lies in proactive connection. Relationships thrive on intentionality, taking the time to nurture intimacy, express appreciation, and address concerns before they escalate. This might mean regularly checking in with one another, setting aside distractions to focus on quality time, or seeking support when challenges arise. On a broader level, society as a whole must move away from judgment and stigmatization. Infidelity isn't an isolated flaw. It's a reflection of deeper emotional and relational struggles. By fostering empathy and understanding, we can create a culture that prioritizes healthy communication and mutual support in relationships. Ultimately, the takeaway is this: infidelity is not just about disloyalty. It's about unmet needs, unresolved issues, and human vulnerability. It serves as a reminder that relationships require ongoing effort, understanding, and care. By focusing on connection, communication, and compassion, couples can navigate challenges and build relationships rooted in trust and mutual respect.